What's up, UX designers? Sophia Prater here. I am recording from Atlanta, Georgia, but I am about to start packing in just a few days to come and see you in Bulgaria. I am so excited. So if you are not yet signed up for this class that OOUX is hosting, it's a 2-day masterclass. If you can make it to Sofia, Bulgaria, to come see Sofia, please do. This is gonna be an amazing 2 days. I am teaching all sorts of new material. I am teaching old material in new ways. So whether you are new or seasoned in UX design, I can guarantee this is going to help your process and it will help your end products as well. So I'm gonna give you guys just a little preview on what I have going on, what I have prepared for you for this 2-day course. Sometimes I've been told that object-oriented UX is kind of like turning user experience design inside out. I'm not gonna blow your process out of the water completely, but I am gonna add a piece that is missing to your process. If you are not defining your objects in a really intentional way, you should be. And I'm gonna tell you how to do that and why to do it as well. So I will see you there on the 17th and the 18th.
All right, let's jump into a little sneak peek. What are we gonna do for 2 days? We're gonna talk about object-oriented UX. And I really believe it is the path to elegant, intuitive, and decluttered simplicity. Why would you not want this in your process and in your products? So if you feel like things maybe could be a little bit easier, this might be your solution. And we're gonna do this by simplifying all those pieces in our design system, our modules and our components and our design elements. And we're gonna do that by rooting all those bits into real-world objects. So before we design any screens, we're gonna learn to answer these questions. What are the objects in this world? What is their structure? What is their composition? What are their relationships to each other? And what are their relationships to the user? And we're gonna learn to avoid these 4 biggest mistakes that are made in the UX world. We're gonna talk a lot about what these are and how to avoid them in your products. They are all over the place, and we're gonna look at a lot of fun examples of these out in the wild. We're gonna learn to create object maps that look like this. Here's a little bit more complicated one, a really complicated one. Probably in our 2 days, ours are not gonna get this complicated, but I'm gonna empower you to take on problems that are super, super complicated and feel really confident because you have this tool. So why do this? Why go OO? Because humans think in objects, and we're gonna talk a lot about the psychology behind this. I'm gonna really convince you that this is true, that humans do think in objects. It's the basic building blocks of thought. And to create understanding, we need consistent and recognizable objects, which is pretty obvious. And of course, we need to be clear on the relationships between the objects to gain a full understanding of that context that the objects are in. So imagine going into a coffee shop. And you walk into this coffee shop, but it's a very strange coffee shop where you can't really tell what are the tables, what are the chairs, and what are the people. You can't really distinguish any of these. And maybe you're trying to meet somebody, and with intense concentration, you can define an object as a person instead of a chair, okay? But then once you define them as a person, you can't tell if it's a person that is working at the coffee shop, that is your friend that you're meeting, or that is a stranger that you've never met before. And then maybe with some more intense concentration, you can determine something as a table. You can also maybe see some chairs, but you can't tell which chairs go with which table. Or you can't even tell which chairs and tables are available and which chairs are taken up by other patrons. This would be a really terrible coffee shop to walk into, right? So with our visual cortex back here in the back of the brain, it's very, very easy in physical environments to answer all these questions. What are the objects in this environment? Where are the objects? How are the objects relating to each other? How are they relating to me? This is all completely intuitive in the real world. But when we go into digital environments, so often we are creating scenarios where it's difficult to tell what are the things in this world? What are the things that I can affect? What are the things that other people can see? How do all these things relate to each other? It's often very unclear. And so through this workshop, through object-oriented UX, you're going to learn to avoid creating those unintuitive environments where those fundamental questions are just, they're not obvious. So why do this from a career perspective? If you're looking to up your game in the UX world, why go OO? One kind of silly reason is adding object-oriented UX to your resume. It's going to sound really fancy. Even if whoever is reading it doesn't know what that is, they're going to be curious. They're going to want to know what it is, so they're going to want to talk to you. Also, it's just going to help you rock your projects, even the really, really complex ones, especially the really complex ones. When you have this process, you're going to feel so much more confident getting started with projects, creating common understanding amongst team members, especially distributed team members or cross-functional team members. And also, number 3, in those really, really complicated projects, object-oriented UX is like a stake in the shifting sands. It really does give you something to hold on to and to create clarity around sort of a whirlwind of business requirements, complexity, or even some of the other more squishy parts of the UX process, like building personas and even organizing research or building an empathy map or a journey map. It gives you a core to hang all of those other things onto. So if you feel like your process could use some cleaning up, or you feel like your products could maybe use some cleaning up, Object-Oriented UX, this is going to be a great class for you to take, and I really hope to see you soon.